sense of this. To start one thing, we actually started out with trying to draw organizational diagram to actually see how could it actually look like when we get to 2020, and we actually figure out that was actually a bit hard in relation to, we start maybe organizing a bit about products, about stuff like that, and then we maybe going too much back to the old way of thinking banking in relation to that. So what we actually start trying to do instead was that, okay, so where we actually, in the ideal way, where we will be in 2020, 2022 in VBO. And we have talked a lot about, when we decided on this, we talked a lot about this 80-20 picture. Meaning that today, in 5 years' time, in the ideal state, 80% of what we're doing will be done by the technology part. So we will basically have left the last 20% of workers as we have today. That is the ideal state, and you can also like, okay, is this picture 70-30 instead and so on. But in the ideal way that we see, because this is about operations will always be there in one way or another. You always have some customer support, some stuff. You will never eliminate all operations. That I don't believe in that, but I think this is really interesting if you can get to that. So that is where we start out the discussion, just to say that. Then we try to discuss a bit, okay, so what are we needing, and so on and so forth. And this is more or less the 4 roles or areas that we talked about that is important.
Yeah, to achieve that ideal picture.
Yes. The problem-solving investigation is in relation to not all we go straight through process. We still need somebody that can investigate this and understand it and solve it and so on. Then we have this about the maintenance and innovate, that the 80% still needs to be maintained. You can't just shut the door and then walk home and then, yeah, this is going to work. Because it's IT, so everybody knows that's not the way it works. And then the reason why we put a circle around this is we talk a lot about the distribution. So if we take, okay, we're around 900 people today in VBO. If we own 20% left in 5 years, that will give us around 180. So what should be how should we divide those into these groups? And we of course hope that we actually have a lot of people in the innovate part, because we can actually keep doing it better and better, respond to things that come to the market and so on and so forth. Then we have a lot of discussion about management. How many layers of management should we actually have? Today we calculated that for every leader we have around 9 employees. It's a 1 to 9 ratio of leaders versus employees. Is that, I think Sanna said that the Nordea guidelines is you shouldn't have more than 13, you said? Right?
13 under 1.
13 under 1 leader, yes, exactly. So, okay, the balance might be good. So we discussed a lot, okay, so how many should we actually have down here? And how should that actually look? We didn't agree. To be honest, we were actually disagreeing for the first time as well a lot of the times here. And I think the one that we disagree the most about is this, what we call project management, something like this, because we will always get these projects from the group, we will also get this from the IT and so on. So we know, and I think more of you people know that than I do, but I could not imagine that if you're really tight on what you're doing normally, then you said, yeah, by the way, we're doing LSP, so if everybody just wants to work 50% more until next year, that would be really good. So instead of you having all this, you have to squeeze the resource that's already squeezed, you actually have a team that can take some of the heat from that. You still might need some of the people in the other layers, but you have a team that can actually start bouncing off a lot of these things. And I think the one thing, what we wrote down here was mainly because we saw there's a lot of things into this that we need to keep working on. But the rotation part is actually the key thing. You're not hiding here, you're not hiding here, you're hiding here because, okay, the ideal way, yes, we're also rotating managers, but let's be fair, that might not gonna happen. And you are not hiding here. You hide into VBO, and then you're part of this ongoing. And then you can also argue it's the 3-month state, it's a half a year state or something that we didn't get that much into detail with, but actually that you have to flow. Because we also see that we were also very much talking about should maintains and innovate be in the same department. Because when you're too deeply into something, you might not be able to see what can we do different. But in the other way, if you understand it, then you're also better to innovate it, and so on and so forth. So that was the short version of what we talked about. Yep.
Maybe one comment on the rotation. Because so we took our point of departure for these was also actually the behavioral skills that we had. Mm-hmm. One of them was curiosity. And if we expect the people we hire to be curious, we also need to give them an opportunity to be curious. And that's provided through the rotations. And again, to what Simon just said with the maintain, innovate, we had this discussion about people having been 20 years in the same place, so they have a hard time seeing what's different, what they can innovate on. But that's exactly what we want to avoid. So how to avoid that? Well, it has to be a part of their accountabilities and role to innovate.
Mm-hmm.